On a time, in the gleaming halls of heaven, there lived a small cherub known as the littlest angel. But he did more than just live there. He jumped there, he skipped there, he giggled and shouted and turned somersaults there. The other angels, who were most likely to ponder, reflect, and muse, didn't know what to make of him. So the littlest angel spent most of his time alone. That didn't stop him from having fun, though, and fun was just what he was having one lovely spring afternoon in the part of heaven known as the Elysian Fields. He was throwing his halo into the air and then watching it float back down, when all at once a breeze came up. Instead of floating it down, his halo floated sideways and landed in the branches of a tree. Uh-oh. As he stood there wondering what to do, he saw a group of angels hurrying by. They would across the far side of the meadow. He called for help, but they were too busy to notice. Another group hurried by, and another, but no one saw him. Just as the littlest angel was about to give up, he heard a new sound. It was the deep, rich voice humming a happy tune. The humming grew louder, and out of the nearby woods strode the singer, also known as the understanding angel. He looked at the scene before him and immediately saw what was wrong. There he is. Without missing a note, the understanding angel scooped up his young friend and held him high overhead. The littlest angel plucked his halo from the branch. When he looked at it, his eyes met with a sad sight. The halo was bent. "I'm afraid you've got a problem there," said the understanding angel as he set his friend on the ground. The littlest angel put the halo back on his head. "I guess I should get it fixed, huh?" "I'd say so," replied the understanding angel, "especially since today is the big day." "The big day? Haven't you heard?" he asked. "The king is returning. That's why all the angels and archangels are so busy hurrying around. They want everything to be perfect for his arrival." Can you guess who the king is? Eager to get ready, the littlest angel said a quick thank you and raced off. He went straight to the halosmith, a strong, broad-shouldered angel who was hard at work in his shop just outside the celestial city. "Do you think you could find time to fix my halo?" the littlest angel asked him. "I want it to look just right when the king comes." The halosmith took one look at it and shook his head sadly. "I wish I could, but once a halo is bent, it can't be fixed." "Then I'll just have to get a new one," declared the littlest angel. "I'm afraid it's not that simple. You don't just get a new halo. You have to earn it. It's not easy, especially in one day." "What can I do to earn it?" asked the littlest angel. The halosmith scratched his chin. "I suppose you could start by helping me. I'm polishing halos for the patriarch prophets, because they'll be the first to greet the king." The halosmith took his new helper over to a box of halos that were scuffed and scratched. He showed him how to polish the golden circles, then went to work, leaving the littlest angel by himself. Whistling a heavenly tune, the littlest angel started polishing, but the work went slowly. At the rate he was going, he would never earn a new halo. Sometimes you have to be patient. He looked around the shop, and there before his eyes was the answer to his problem. Cans and cans of paint. Instead of polishing the halos, he would paint them. The job would go faster, and the patriarch prophets would get halos in every color of the rainbow. Do you think this is a good idea? A short time later, the halosmith came back to check on the helper. The littlest angel proudly displayed his work. The halosmith's eyes widened, and his face grew pale. "Is anything wrong?" asked the littlest angel. You know, said the Hallowsmith in a funny, pinched voice, I think maybe I should do this job by myself. Thanks anyway. Do you think it's working out? Do you think he likes the red and blue and orange halos? The littlest angel left the Halo-smith's shop, wondering where to go next. As he walked along the path, he heard a flutter of wings overhead. He looked up just in time to see an angel hurtling straight towards him out of control. He dived out of the way, and the angel hit the ground with a thud. The angel, a plump woman with shaggy brown hair, shook her head and climbed unsteadily to her feet. Are you okay? Asked the littlest angel. Me, she said. Sure, I'm fine. She introduced herself as the Wingmaker and explained that to get ready for the king's return, the heavenly host had brought her their wings for her to clean and trim. She flapped the wings on her back. I was just taking this pair for a test flight. Guess they could use a little adjustment. The littlest angel asked if she needed an assistant. In response, she led him back to her studio, on foot just to be safe, and opened the door to reveal shelf after shelf of wings. If you really want to help, she said, you could arrange these wings by size. Start with the biggest and work down to the smallest. Happy at another chance to earn a new halo, the littlest angel got to work. He went from one side of the studio to the other, collecting the largest wings he could find. Since they were made up of feathers, he was able to carry a big pile of them easily. Soon the pile reached over his head almost to the ceiling. What happens to big, tall piles of light, fluffy things? He was crossing the room to get yet another pair of wings when he tripped and the pile began to sway. The next thing he knew, he was lying face down under a mountain of feathers. Uh-oh, that does not sound good for the wings. Although he does have a cute little tail right here. The Wingmaker pulled him out from under the pile and brushed him off. Now that I think about it, she said as she showed him to the door, maybe those wings don't need to be organized after all. Discouraged, the littlest angel wandered into the celestial city. As he walked past the cathedral, he heard the sound of voices. He peeked through the window and saw the heavenly choir hard at work, practicing hymns for the king's return. Here was another chance to earn a new halo. He slipped inside the cathedral and came up behind the choir. They were busy singing, and he joined right in. It was so much fun that he found himself singing louder and louder. Before he knew it, he'd thrown back his head and was shouting at the top of his lungs. It was grand! It was glorious! It was a solo! Do you think the other people thought this was such a good idea? Halfway through the second verse, he realized he was singing alone. The others had stopped and were staring at him. Sorry, he mumbled. I was just trying to earn a new halo. They stared at him all the way out the door. The littlest angel trudged down the street of guardian angels. On each side of him, cherubs swept the pavement and washed down the sidewalks. In the distance, he saw the golden gate of heaven, where the king would make his grand entrance in just a few short hours. As he gazed at the big pearl-covered door, his heart leaped. At last he knew how to earn a new halo. It would be better than anything he could do to help the choir or the Wingmaker or the Halo-smith. He would help his friend, the gatekeeper, prepare the gate. Look how nice and clean and shiny the gate is. All those sparkles. There was no sign of his friend, so the littlest angel decided to get started by himself. He opened the gate, first one way and then another. He pushed, he pulled, he jumped on it and swung. He climbed over every inch of the gate, making sure it was ready for the king. When the gatekeeper returned, he found the littlest angel perched on top of the gate. It looks like you've been busy, said the gatekeeper. That's right, replied the littlest angel. I've been helping you get ready for the king. Before you came, said the gatekeeper, I was busy too. Doing what? Asked the littlest angel. Eyeing the fingerprints and smudges that covered the pearly surface, he smiled sadly and said, "Cleaning the gate." For the littlest angel, it was just too much. With a sob, he leaped off the gate and ran as fast as he could out of the city. He didn't stop until he reached the Elysian fields. He sat in the meadow thinking about everything that had happened. He'd wanted to earn a new halo. Instead, all he had caused was trouble. It seemed that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't do anything right. There are days that feel like that, aren't there? He gazed across the field and realized he wasn't alone. There was a stranger standing under a tree, looking off in the distance. Even from this far away, there was something sad about the tilt of his head and the slouch of his shoulders. The littlest angel he got up and crossed the field. Drawing near, he saw that the stranger's feet were bare and he wore a simple robe. "Is anything wrong?" asked the cherub. The stranger turned slowly around. He had a beard and deep brown eyes. "Oh, it's nothing," he said. "I've just arrived here, and I miss my friends." When I first came, said the littlest angel, I felt the same way. But now I like it. It's my home. And these fields are my favorite place. He bent down and picked a bright yellow daisy and handed it to the stranger. The man smiled. He took the flower and fastened it to his robe. The two of them walked together through a meadow, watching the birds and butterflies and creatures of the field. After a time, the stranger said, "I feel better now." That was when the littlest angel remembered. "Oh no," he blurted. "We've probably missed the king." He had hurried to the celestial city with the stranger trailing behind. As the two of them approached, they could hear the crowd buzzing. "Quick," said the littlest angel, "let's sneak through the gate." He went in first and motioned for the stranger to follow. Inside there was lots of activity, but no sign of the king. They'd made it in time. Why is everybody staring at him like that? Then someone shouted, "He's here!" The angels grew quiet, and row by row they knelt along the street of guardian angels. The littlest angel looked left and right, but he couldn't see the king. Then he glanced back towards the gate. Standing just inside was his companion. One of the patriarch prophets walked up to the stranger. "Welcome back, Lord," said the prophet. He placed a crown on the stranger's head, then knelt in front of him. The littlest angel backed away, sure he had made the biggest mistake yet. His only thought was to disappear into the crowd and never come out again. Then the stranger smiled. "Don't go," he said. "You're my friend." He stepped forward and took the littlest angel's hand. The young cherub stared up at him in wonder. The stranger lifted the bent halo from the littlest angel's head. He took the bright yellow daisy from his own robe and placed it in the cherub's hair. As the crowd watched, the flower began to spin and glow until it had changed into a golden circle of light. The littlest angel had earned a new halo. Did you recognize who the stranger was before they told you that it was the king? And notice that being friends earns new halos.